G'day, it's Jerry here. Today I've got my little KVM switch. It's a 4-port switch, which means that it will share 4 different computers with the same mouse, keyboard and screen. And this thing has served me well for a couple of years. But today I did something that caused it a problem. I grabbed the cable and I pulled it down like this and something snapped. I don't know whether it's caused a problem or not because I haven't got that PC working, but I can clearly feel like perhaps this piece of plastic in here is broken. It may or may not affect it, but I need to pull it apart and have a look inside just to make sure, because I don't really want to short anything out. So yeah, let's see if we can't pull it apart. Okay, so there is no screw under there. Oh, the screws are on the side here. All right, let's just quickly pull it apart and have a look. Okay, so there we go. Nice. Oh, there's not much to see here, is there? Let's see if I can zoom in. Right, so this is just a standard USB port. And you can see that it's a bit floppy. So I'm guessing that the plastic on this unit has gone. So here's the, oh no, I don't know if you can see that. So these pads have lifted. So I think I must have put it in and then cranked it up a little bit. I mean, the case should really have stopped that from moving. Okay, so unfortunately, I think that has lifted tracks. So right there. Let me just pull this up a little bit. Not sure if you can see that. The track has been lifted straight off. Let me just get my microscope out and so we can have a quick look. Actually, I could use my little loop to see whether it's even worth showing you what's going on, if I can find it. Handy little gadget. Yes, unfortunately, what you can see here is the entire track being lifted up from the PCB, and that's going to be an almost impossible repair for me. But having looked at it, I can see that it's not going to cause any problems. It's not like it's going to short anything out. So I can simply safely not use these. And to be honest, I don't really think there's anything. I was thinking maybe I could use I could come in here and resolder these things. But having lifted the whole track, it's clear that the soldering is fine with this. I'm just going to have to be ultra careful. So normally there are anchor points here, which I can see that there are, but there are no anchor points at the back. So a lot of these ones have anchor points that go all the way down the side, but this does not appear to have that. The anchor points are just at the very beginning there, which means that it's very easy to put a cable in and then move it slightly like that, and there's nothing to stop these tracks from lifting up. So that's a terrible design. You can see on the HDMI port, it's got one at the back and one at the front there, which is more like what you want. So yeah, cheap USB ports. Going to give you problems every single time. Damn. Oh well, I guess I'm going to make do with a 3-port hub. I don't think I'm going to be able to repair that. I'm almost tempted to take the whole thing off just so I'm not tempted to use it. Well, I guess we can try desoldering it. Let me crank up my soldering iron and let's just give this a bit of a go. If we can get this off, then we can turn this into a 3-port KVM. Otherwise, I'm going to have to block this off to make sure I don't accidentally use it. But we should get it off anyway. One moment. Okay, so you can see under the microscope the problem. So it's torn up at the back, and you know, we've got these little anchor points just at the front instead of here where they've sensibly put anchor points at the front and the back. So I might just try using my soldering iron and see if we can't do anything. Otherwise, we'll try the heat gun on it. I'm always a bit nervous about the heat gun. So I've got that one up. And that one's come off. Wants to spring back. That's fair enough. So what about on these side bits? I might just put a bit of heat there and see what happens. Can I just lift? No. Need to get something in there. Okay, we'll try this. There's a lot of metal there, so becomes a bit of a heat sink. Should just check whether that goes all the way through. It does, but it's the tiniest. See that? It's just a little, almost a V-sized hole that's going into. Oh, let's crank up the soldering iron. So it's on 380 at the moment. It's going up to 480. Okay, 480. Apply a bit of pressure to that. I wonder what would happen if I just put the iron in and heated it from the bottom. Really making a mess of this. Common sense tells me I should remove the board from here, then I can get to the other side. Okay, so the board has been removed, and so now we can turn it over, and this is what's holding it in there. Let's just get some fresh solder on there. Don't think we did too much about getting it out of the hole. What else can we try? I've got my desoldering station here, but I saw something the other day that I bought ages ago, which I'd lost, and then I found it again. I never used it. It's like solder, but it has a very low melting point, which means that when you use it as solder, it will remain molten for way longer than solder normally would, giving you time to take the component off because it will remain liquid. So, sounds like a good idea. So if you mix it in with the solder that's already there, let me just check this. So in theory, this should still be, no, be molten for longer. Well, it is, but not for terribly long. Still molten, still molten, still molten, still molten, still molten. Yeah. And so the idea is that you can keep doing this. And if you're quick, you can remove the... Well, we got it off. Phew. Let's see if we can clean this up. The other thing is you don't want to leave that stuff on there because it isn't real solder. Okay, let me put some real solder back in here and then see if we can wick that off. So there's our USB port removed. Let's take a closer look. Let me get this down. This microphone's on a boom arm, so it's a little bit not stable, but you can maneuver it pretty easily. Yeah, so there we go. We managed to remove all of the pads. And so I guess there are some vias there for those pads. Let me just see if I can trace out where this stuff is going. So it looks like maybe this pad here going off to here somewhere, and these ones probably going down into these vias here, and yeah, that's the only one with a remaining pad. You know what, I'm not going to try and repair it. I am not skilled enough, but simply removing that port, I think, will make sure that I don't actually get into any more trouble. Because if I was to leave it there, I mean, obviously I could just fill it in with something, I guess, mark it as not usable, but there was always a chance that we could get in here and repair that. So I'm just cleaning this up. You can just make out where these go. So this pad is going to here, this pad is going to here. Looks like this is coming up and going into here. And then this one, it's hard to see, it's still connected. It's probably going over to there, maybe. Hang on, let me just flip this board over. Yeah, so there's the two middle pins from the other side of the board. Those vias going through here. If we flip the board back over, and this one here, it's not obvious where that's going. Could even be an earth. Could we test that? Connected to the earth. Yeah. Yes, that's the only one that survived. So just a guess that this one is connected to power on this side. And these are probably the data pins. Oh well. So there we go. Yeah, pretty upset about that. I mean, this was cheap. This was like the cheapest 4-port hub. So I'm thinking what I might do is, to prevent this from happening again, is secure these things a little bit better. Starting with adding a bit of extra solder into these holes. That's something simple I could do. Okay, so that's going to make them a little more stable, but as I said to you, the main problem with this is not the fact that these anchors didn't work. It's because, you know, they're not anchored at the back either. I mean, I guess now that stops it. You know, when you put the cable in, it's more difficult to pull up. You know, pulling down like that makes it a bit better here, but yeah, I don't know what we could do. I mean, ultimately, there's not much you can do, because even if I were to put some super glue, or I was to put some araldite onto it, in the end it's only sticking to the top layer of the PCB, and so it really doesn't have any strength, which is a pity. You know, for the sake of a couple of cents to put in a USB port with proper anchor points, you know, this sucker could have lasted a lot longer. Okay, let's put it back together. Okay, so there we go. So, hub 1 is gone. Hopefully I've stabilised these other ones enough that it might last me a little bit longer. So if you're interested in this, I'll leave a link. I think I bought it off Amazon for 40 Australian dollars, I think, which is quite good for a 4-port KVM. HDMI, you know, and USB 3. It's just a pity about that. Maybe I should put something over that to stop the dust from getting in. Okay, so just put a bit of Captain Tape over there. So it wasn't really a repair video, but it did give me the excuse to open this up and take a look inside. It's always interesting to see, you know, what caused the problem. You know, very cheap USB ports. Bit of a shame really, because otherwise this thing has been fantastic. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. If you like this sort of thing, think about subscribing to my channel, checking out my other playlists, and I will catch you on the next video. Ciao!